Good morning and g'day, mate. Welcome back to Dyson Sphere with me, Jetty, and of course, Mr. Icarus Prime. And we're here on our lava planet, our lovely lava planet, because this was our source of our silicon. And as you can see, having just 15,000 left, it's run a little bit dry, which has led to a few problems. The biggest one actually being that this is the only place we were making processors. And processors are sort of important for a few things. One, they need a little bit in the mall to make things like big shippies. Two, actually if we look at processors, they're needed to make purple science. We're all out of purple science. They're also needed to make quantum chips, which go into green science, which means we're all out of green science. They're also needed to make quantum chips to make the small carrier rockets, which is what we've been working on for a couple of episodes, trying to get rockets up in the air. And in fact, that is what we're going to be getting done today. Today, I want to have rockets up in the air. So, first thing I need to do, come to this lovely tower over here, set up a brand new belt to start importing silicon from the galactic map, because we did, I'd load that in there, we did, if we zoom out far enough and zoom out a little bit further, we did head over to, I made it here without warpers, we did set up the Philip Simmons map, planet, it's not a map, it's planet, who was wonderful enough to not only click the like button on every single video, I'm sure he clicked like on every video, he's also definitely clicked the subscribe button. He went that one step further and supported our dreams for making 2022 ad-free on this channel, and clicked the join button, became a lovely member of the channel. Cost him all of, well, a very minimum of $1 a month. You can support at higher amounts if you wish, but at the very minimum, $1 a month, so 12 months of JD is cheaper than 1 month worth of Netflix. If you put the maths like that, you're like, can you afford it? Probably. In fact, the other person who can definitely afford it is Grady. Grady Walkup was kind enough to also click the join button. So, as I have said, we're going to be naming all planets that we go and colonize after YouTube members. I'm going to be starting at the newest members first, from when this series started, and then we're going to be working our way all the way up to the newest, and we might work at some of the older ones, those that have been members for a little while. At the same time, I will be naming planets, so if you wish, suns rather. I will be naming suns. If you wish to have a sun, you wish to have a Dyson Sphere, I will be naming those after those lovely supporters over on Patreon who, take the extra step and they go up to $2 per month. It's like 2 months worth of Netflix for a whole year's worth of JD. It's twice as much, but that's how we're going to be running this playthrough. So again, Grady, thank you so much for clicking that join button. Thank you for becoming a supporter of the channel. At the same time, now we've got copper here, which we are side loading in because I want to preference what we have on this planet first and burn it out. I did set up a second build over here, which would be running if I had Proliferator juice, but it looks like we've maxed out the Proliferator juice. So, the second build is actually a bit bigger than the first build, so it should be enough to keep things running, but obviously I need to go make more juice. So, first things first, come to the existing juice build, we'll remove you, and you, and JD's early game blueprints. If you want these blueprints, they are on my Discord server. We're going to throw that right there. We'll throw in the missing power pole that is not in the blueprint, because when I first made it, it didn't need the power pole. And then it seems every single time I place it since, it does need the power pole. So maybe the blueprint's due for an update. Anyway, we'll plug that in there. We'll plug that in there because these need about 4 coal per second. So I should be able to come in here and prioritize that feeds that way, because I do want to make sure that we use up all the juice that we have, all the coal we have on this planet, because there's not a lot left, and I'd really like to be done with it. And at the same time, I'm going to preload all the sprayers for this build to get it up and running. There's the belt, there we go. And that should double our juice production. Now, in case it's not enough, and there's a very real possibility that it won't be enough, what I'll actually do is we will set up another Proliferator. You're side loading onto the side load. So what I'll do is I'll plug that in there. We'll set this to, you know, a few hundred. We'll turn on remote demand. No storage. And it should... So this is the primary, because that's side loading. That becomes the secondary. And then because this is side loading, this becomes the tertiary. At least that's in theory how it should work. Actually, did I have juice on me? Juice! We can put that in there and confirm. There's a juice coming through here, so we should see that this stops occasionally when anything comes through here, and this should stop when anything comes through here. Perfect! Alright, so we've set up backup juice production. In fact, we might just... Yeah, we might just upgrade the belts. Just on the off chance we're over 6 per... We're using more than 6 per second. Because, you know, I have added a few things to the build. Alright. So this should get our processes up and running. Now, processes was super important, and in fact, they actually stopped our science running because processes are used for a few things. Where are they? Processes used for purple science. Turns out no processes, no purple science. At the same time, they're used for quantum chips. Quantum chips go into our green cubes, which means no green cubes, which means no science. At the same time, they go into the small carrier rockets. Small carrier rockets are important for our international, our intergalactic advertising campaign, because today's episode, we've been working on the small carrier rockets for a while, but today I want to get our intergalactic advertising campaign up and running. Because let's be honest, when we were looking for a giant project, going to cost a lot of money, who's going to foot the bill? Advertisers. So this video is completely sponsored by the advertiser. You will find at the end of the video when we get this thing up and running. So with that up and running, we are making processes both in the original build plus in the new build. We're making like 15 per minute, but it's not enough. It's not nearly enough. In fact, I'm going to max that out so we can definitely fill this up. We have brought in warpers here so we can go get long distance, get more silicon, and with that done, we're going to make the grand jump across to Home 2, which is our lovely desert planet we've been working on for a while. Desert, arid desert, whatever. It's our tightly locked arid desert planet that I want to make a jump to, because this particular planet's been the one we've been working on, and it's where most of our production lines are. So I am going to ask you once again, you know, you've watched a couple of minutes of the video, you know what's going to come. We've spoken about what's coming. If you haven't already clicked the like button, very much would appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, now's a great time too. At the same time as Icarus hits the ground so hard he bounces, great time to, you know, drop something in the comments. Don't have anything constructive to say? Drop an emote. I love to see some of the weird emotes people have managed to find on the internet. Anyway, with that out of the way, we're going to set up our very first build here. Fairly boring build, honestly. We're going to be making glass. Okay, why are we making glass? Because we need small carrier rockets. Small carrier rockets need deuterium fuel rods. We set that up a couple of episodes ago. It's going great. We need Dyson Sphere components. Dyson Sphere components require frame material. We set that up last episode. They also need solar cells. Set that up last episode. They also need processors. We just fixed that. Hopefully it's enough to get the production up and running. They also require quantum chips. Quantum chips we have set up previously for green science. I need to give you half a stack of those, 50 of those. Okay, you have shippies, you're up and running. Go away. We did set up green science, right here. We did set up quantum chips already. So quantum chips are at this end. Quantum chips require plane filters. Plane filters require Casimir. I apologize. Somebody told me exactly how to pronounce Casimir crystals in the comment section. And I did say I'd try. I'd try my hardest to pronounce it correctly. But I've been playing this game for a year, pronouncing it incorrectly every single time, and I promise I'll go look it up again, and I'll write it down on a post-it pad, and like stick it on the monitor, probably right in the middle so I can't miss it or something, and I have to work around it until I record the next episode, and have to say the word cashmere crystal again. But I will attempt to actually pronounce it correctly. Don't hold your breath, you'll probably go blue, but I will try. At the same time, we have titanium crystals, which are required for the cashmere crystals. Plus, we have titanium glass, which requires glass. So we've set up glass right here on this planet because we have a crap ton of stone to burn through. At the same time, I have another production exactly on the other side of the planet. Okay, exactly on the other side of the planet, we need to set up this production line. Now, this production line requires a few... It requires us to talk about it. Let's just talk about it. At the same time, I will mention that this particular blueprint is available on my Discord if you want to grab a copy. I'm going to start at this tower. I think this tower seems like a great spot to start. And we're going to start by going to a different tower and grabbing half your goop and putting it in here. So this setup is going to make our quantum chips. Eventually. There's a couple of steps it has to go through, and it's a complete self-contained build. So, step number 1 is we need to bring in the organic crystals, which we have set up previously on this very planet. We're going to throw those in there, and we're going to throw those in there. Okay, so we have to bring in organic crystals, which is set up on this planet. So we're going to set up local demand. We have to bring in titanium, which is not set up on this planet, so we need to set up remote demand. Same time, we need to bring in hydrogen. Hydrogen obviously comes from the gas giant, so we're going to set up local remote demand for that. Plus, we need the graphene. Graphene is going to come in locally because we did set up here 2 wonderful builds up here that convert a crap ton of fire ice into a crap ton worth of graphene. Actually, I can set you up for local demand for the hydrogen as well, because we technically make it on the planet as well. So, once we've got that up and running, we're going to bring in our organic crystals and also titanium. We're going to make step number 1. Step number 1 is titanium crystals. And that's going to flow in here, and they're going to actually output onto this belt on the left-hand side, which, as you can see, we have marked the belt. It's going to flow up here and through the spray coater, and it's going to get proliferated. Next up, that goes straight into the cashmere crystal. Cashmere crystal requires the titanium crystal, which we just automated, plus requires graphene, plus requires a lot of hydrogen. So actually the hydrogen belt here is actually blue belt speed. It runs at 30 items per second because we need the throughput. These guys eat hydrogen, needing 12 per craft every 4 seconds. They actually eat the stuff. So that's one production line. Hydrogen and graphene being the other 2 items. They're going to come all the way down here, fill up this build, and then it's going to output and head back up here, wrap around itself, and come down here and go into the next section of the build. Next section of the build requires titanium glass, which is over here and is not set up yet. So we need to throw some big shippies in there and some little shippies in there as well. Titanium glass needs glass, which we just set up. Also needs water, which we're going to set up to bring in remotely. Also needs processors, which we have some on the way, so that's a great sign. So once we get in our glass and our water, there's our glass. Water should be here. It's going to come from the home planet. It's going to take a second. Once we get some water as well, we're going to make titanium glass. Titanium glass obviously requires glass, plus some titanium, plus some water. We again proliferate the glass, plus the water, and the titanium actually comes out of the first tower because we already had to bring it in for the titanium crystals. So we're going to proliferate all of that to make the titanium glass, which, as you can see, outputs onto this bottom belt here, because the belts are marked, comes up here, gets proliferated, and then runs back out and down to here, which is then going to make our plane filters. Now, plane filters, really, really cool things. They're needed for quantum chips. And up until a couple of updates ago, that's the only item they went into, so you didn't put them in towers or anything. Now, technically, they're also needed for a plane smelter. Now, plane smelters are really good, okay? They smelt at twice the speed of the normal smelter. There is a catch. They use 4 times the amount of power. 4 times the amount of power is a lot of power. It's like really late game power. So, we do want to have some plane filters in a tower. And we want to have a decent amount of plane filters in a tower. But also at the same time, you need unipolar magnets. You need a rare resource to make these things. So because we want to finish the game and not mine any rare resources, we can't make plane smelters yet. So it does mean that I need to set up some plane filters now, and eventually later on actually get some plane smelters. So what we have is we have the lovely build here, which has both the inputs. Inputs come along here and out here. And the outputs come out on the outside of the belt, plus the inside of the build, plus the outside of the build. And then all 3 belts merge together right here and come down here to finally make our quantum chips. Now again, we're going to proliferate everything We're going to bring these in here, proliferate them. We've already started making some quantum chips. But, because eventually, either quantum chip production is going to back up, or, just as likely, there's a tiny bit of overproduction in the plane smelters. It does mean that eventually the whole build will get filled up. And what will actually happen is we'll have a couple of plane filters, not smelters, filters, slide past the whole build and go into the tower. So the tower is not capped. It can store up to 10,000 plane filters in there, which if we again go into building menu and we look at these guys, they require 4 each. Which means we can potentially craft a lot of them once we get the production and the storage up and running. So the idea is there's a little bit of excess production, not a lot of excess production. It looks like we're missing yet another power pole. Just a tiny bit of excess production, which is all I really want. I just want a little bit of excess production to make the occasional plane smelter. Because when it comes to smelting, you're either using a lot of them or you're using none of them for ages. So a little bit of extra production is all we need. But that sets up that build. And with that done, we now have quantum chips being available. So with quantum chips now being available, we can say that's done, that's done. The the Dyson Sphere component, not quite done. So we got one more thing we need to automate, and then we can start making some rockets. So we're going to come up here, and I'm going to, power. There we go, power. I'm going to automate them. You know what, we're going to do it right here. Okay, so in my interstellar logistics station, we want to make these. These require frame material, which we've automated in the last episode. Plus, they require... crap, I forgot already. Solar cells, which we, again, automated in the last episode. Plus, they require processors, which we just fixed on the other planet. Lastly, they require the proliferator juice. So, what we want to do is we set up the proliferator juice first, set up a demand, and then we just need to make a little build. Now, this build is not super massive. We are aiming for 1 rocket per second, which does not sound like a lot. Trust me, does not sound like a lot. But rockets are actually really expensive. They're almost as expensive or on par with the Universal Matrix. Different resource lines, but they're super expensive. So getting to 1 rocket per second, not super hard, but requires a fair amount of production lines. And of course, after we get them up and running, we can then expand the build, because then we're producing power from the Dyson Sphere, which means that we have power to then expand things and keep going. So 1 rocket per second means I need to actually have 16 of these guys, because they take 8 seconds to craft. So they're not fast to craft at all. So what we want to do is we're going to bring out a belt. We're going to bring out material number 2. Run that, I don't know, to about there. Material number 3, run that to about there. We're going to definitely make sure we spray these things, because they are fairly late game. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Extend the belts a little bit. We're going to turn that off. We're going to put a row beside that and space them out so they're 4 apart as well. We obviously need to set a recipe. And then we need to bring out our 3rd ingredient. Being... hey, another research time. Okay, 3rd ingredient being the processors, which I'm going to take all the way down, wrap around the outside, and all the way back up. Finally, I'm going to put another belt all the way down. This one's for the output. Up the side. And all the way back up to here. Which again, I want to spray. So, and we need to spray the processors as well. There we go. Okay, so we're going to spray everything. So we need to bring out our spray. I want to bring that up. And I want to run it, press R a couple of times so we can make sure the belt is dead straight. And we're going to run that through the sprayers. So we just need to apply some sorters, which is going to be input, 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 output, input, output. And then it's as simple as get the spacing right by hitting tab, drag, drag, and power poles. We're going to put 1 there. Hello? 1 there. One there, one there, one there, one there. We don't need anything too fancy. We will turn that back on to make sure I haven't missed anything. And then I just need to set up these requests. So we need to bring in solar sails locally, because we have these locally. In fact, I need to put in some ships that will probably help things along. 50 of those. Alright. We need to bring in the Dyson Sphere components. No, the frame material, also locally, because we've made that here. The processors, we're going to hit remote. And we actually got a request, so I'm not going to complain. I thought we might have an issue where there was none in stock. We are going to set the drones to 100%, because I don't want them flying around with nothing. In fact, where is that blueprint? You are not set to 100%. Yes. Okay. We're better. Alright. So, that should get this build up and running in 1 second. Now, you would assume I'd put the sphere components in there and then we'd drag them onto the next build. We're not going to do that. We're going to actually clear that slot, and I'm going to take the sphere components after they've been built and run out of belt. Really? Alright, we're going to use some yellow belt. Because we're at super slow production lines at this time. At this point. Okay, we're going to bring the output, which is going to be proliferated already. Yeah, you guys are they're doing the squishy. They're all working ever so slowly. Okay, we are going to bring the production line over here because we're going to go straight into the very next item, because they only ever go into the small carrier rockets. So small carrier rockets require 2, 4, and 2, so they're fairly resource heavy. At the same time, they take 6 seconds, which means I need, after we've sprayed them with juice, I need a grand total of 7 assemblers. That's it. So we're going to build pretty much the same build as we just did. This time we're going to be making carrier rockets. We are going to be bringing in the deuterium fuel rods, which are where? Keep seeing this. It's not that. It's that one. Plus, we're going to bring in the quantum chips. I also going to bring in juice. We'll set that fairly low. We'll turn that on straight away. And also going to bring in warpers, because eventually I'm going to want to be able to warp these rocket parts that we've made here off planet. Just 50. 50 is overkill. We're going to set that to 100%. And we're going to make our build. So our build is, like I said... Oh, no, hang on. Sprayers. There and there. Okay. Our build is, like I said, 7 assemblers. So what am I going to do? I'm going to build 8. The reason I build 8 is... until all our production lines are worked out, like processes, and we don't have shortages anymore, we're going to have a certain amount of burst production where things don't run for a while and then we get a large delivery in of, something like processors. Nope. And because it's a large delivery, a build turns on and then we get a whole influx of material. Consequently, I want to have the opportunity to, just have a little bit of extra production. So that's going to be our input for our Dyson Sphere components. We're going to bring our output belts, which I'm going to politely wrap in right there. We're going to bring out our spray belt, number 4. We'll bring it up to here and through both those machines. Okay, with that done, it should be throw a power pole there. We're going to set your recipe, copy and paste. We're going to make sure you have input, output. Okay, and we're going to drag you 3. Drag you, hit tab enough times 3. I'm going to throw a power pole there and there. Sure. That is the wrong item. I need to change you to quantum chips. We need to bring in these and these, which are both made locally on the planet. I'm going to set this to like 10% just so we get something in, because we need to have something in so this actually works. And that's our build done. Surprisingly, that's all it took. Like 3 episodes and a bunch of our time. These are getting in processes. No, they are running perfectly fine. This is literally waiting on the quantum chips. Quantum chips are have their processors, so they are running, and they're running beautifully. Okay, all right. What we want to do, we want to see you have that resource in. Where are our quantum chips? Which are going to be a nightmare. Honestly, they're going to be a nightmare for a while. Come on! 100 coming in. Hello. Oh, they're there. Yeah? There they go. Okay. With them being sprayed as well, we should see 20% extra products. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for that bonus production. Now, if I hover over the small carrier rocket and we see if we spray the carrier rockets, what do we get? We get faster launching. I don't really need faster launching. What I do really need is I do need launches. So we need to head across the map to our South Pole, North Pole, one of the poles. South Pole, it seems. Yep, South Pole. And right about here, I have small carrier rockets. And this already has some items being imported, but what I want to do is I want to put in a whole bunch of little shippies. Plus, we'll throw in some big shippies. We'll throw in some big shippies. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that this has all the items, doesn't matter what they are, I want them being requested. I'm going to need some quantum chips. I'm going to need a lot of quantum chips. We will preload that with whatever I have in my inventory, which is great. So we need gravity lenses, which are actually made here on planet in that build? No, that's silicon. That build. Yes. Whole bunch of graviton lenses. Good. That's that one done. Quantum chips is going to be the hard one. Now, this one I am going to set low. I'm going to set to 10% as well, because I want to make sure that these have, not only they have resources, but they also make sure that they have the highest preference of getting new resources in, because I never want to be in a situation where, for whatever reason, if I'm halfway across the galaxy, I don't have any of these because either they weren't shipped in or there wasn't enough available in the network. I want to make sure that these guys always have first grab, which also means they sort of need warpers. So, again, on our lovely build, we have this particular tower. Can I split you and split you and... Nope. Split you. There we go. Give you guys 50 of those. And what I actually want to do is I want to bring in warpers, which are made locally. Actually, we're going to go one step... yeah, we'll do a remote as well, just in case. And I want to bring in warpers. Now, warpers on this particular planet, a little bit special. And also with this blueprint, a little bit special. We're going to bring in warpers into the first tower. Now, you might notice that all the other towers don't actually bring in warpers. Because what we're actually doing is we're bringing in warpers here. And they're going to fill up this slot, being slot number 6. And also they're going to bring in warpers in slot number 4. And they're going to ship them out. And they're going to come to the next tower, who is going to cut the belt. Cut the belt. If we cut the belt and there's no exiting of the warpers, they're going to fill up this, which is slot number 6. It's a magical slot that you can't access normally unless you bring it up and you say there's a slot number 6. Which means this will fill up, providing there's enough input. If there's not enough input, then they're going to flow straight back out, which is a bit of a catch. But they're going to flow into this tower, and this tower, and this tower, and this tower, and this tower, all the way around the circle at our pole, and eventually end up in coming out of this tower. If they've done a full loop all the after they've done a full loop all the way around, they're going to come into this tower. Then they're going to head into the internal row, and they'll do another full loop all the way around. And they'll finally get to this tower, at which point they'll start backing up. Once they start backing up, which is what we're looking for, then we'll have a situation where the whole belt backs up and every tower will have warpers, which is exactly what we want. In the meantime, let's go back to this, because I need to have these rocket engines. I'm looking for the first build. Hey, there, okay. You have 70 on the way. Perfect. Look, give me all your material, because I can craft faster than you can. Can I have 3? Okay, can I have all of those straight on the tower, all of those straight on the tower, and all of that straight on the tower, and that out of the tower. How are we up to? 7. You've crafted 2. That's 9. I want titanium alloy. Gimme. 10. 100 chips. Come on, I need a few more. 8. 2. 10. Yeah, I need a few more. That plus that plus that. 1, 2. Done. Okay. Those can go back in there. Those can go in there. Those can go in there. And that can go in there. Alright. With that done, I now have 20 vertical launching silos. The reason I have 20 is... Oh, I actually have a few more. Hang on. 6. Oh. 6. Cool. You can have the excess production. Yeah? You good? Excellent. Okay. I want to have 12 in my inventory. The reason is... Actually, I think we can mouse over it. Yes. It launches at 5 per minute, which means it takes us 12 seconds to launch a rocket. Which means if we're making 1 rocket per second and they take 12 seconds to launch, if I have 12 silos, we're going to launch 1 rocket per second. Done, dusted. So, that's our plan. So, we're going to find a place to put some rocket silos. Now, normally, we'd put down a tower, and we'd import the rockets, and then we'd launch the rockets from there. But because we're making the rockets right here on this planet, we might as well just build the launchers. No, let's spin you around. We might as well just build the launchers right here, and we'll add a belt. Now, launching silos, massive building, wonderful building. They look awesome. And they have 3 inputs. They have 1 on this side, plus 1 on this side, plus 1 at the front. Which means you can take a belt, and you can bring the belt around and zigzag it up till it's close enough so it sort of can reach, and then keep doing this pattern over and over and over. And there to there, there to there. That's going to be too wide. There to there to there. Grab a silo. Really? Oh no, there we go. There we go. And put a silo beside a silo beside a silo. Now you might notice this thing with silos. There's a fair bit of clipping. And, oh, and some weird shadow effects. Okay, there's a fair bit of clipping when it comes to silos. And they're a bit of a bulkier building. They're a bit awkwardly shaped. Also, if you've played Dyson Sphere before, you'll find out rocket silos don't actually make any noise. It's a rocket silo. You'd assume it would be fairly loud. They don't actually make any noise. So I actually think that the rocket silos are we're still working on some placeholder graphics. So what I like doing with my rocket silos, because I still can't get a belt, well... Can't really get a belt close enough because weird shapes, but I can run a belt through the back of it. Yeah. So what I like doing with my rocket silos, I like taking a rocket silo, putting it beside one another, and then flipping it twice. So you know, the wide parts at the back now, and then we take a sorter and we daisy chain it from that one to that one. Then I take this one and I put it on this side, and we add a sorter. More importantly, now I have a pattern. I can grab that one there, click there, grab that one there, click there, grab that one there, click there. We just keep doing this over and over and over. And I keep doing this till I've used all 12. As long as I keep copying, pasting, and placing it in the exact right spot, we get a wonderful daisy chain of rockets that just pass from one to the next place, rather. Thank you. And, oh, we're out of silos. Perfect! Which now means I'm going to bring out of my rocket silo, down to here. I'm going to bring out some rockets. We're going to bring them across. Because that weird shape, we're going to have to come down, around, and in. And then what I want to do is have a bot come build this rather than picking up rocks. And we're going to need a power pole. Okay, that'll power up the first one. You guys done? No, can I actually click that, and T3 belt. Let's go. Let's go! Okay. Rocket silo has 20 rockets in it, ready to go. There's a catch. It's got nothing to launch at. So, before we give it a target to launch at, we're going to power up all these guys. And I can do this by squeezing a power pole here at the back end of each one of them. And putting a lovely zigzag on everything. And what we're looking for is when I get to the end of the build, if the daisy chain has worked and I haven't missed any sorters, I should have, in the very last rocket silo, I should have rockets. Which means my daisy chain has worked from start to end, which is perfect. And wrong, that one. And we have exactly 0 rockets in the build. But the belt is full, the silos are full. We're going to remove that extra belt because I do not want rockets sitting on the belt because they're sort of expensive. And then the last thing we need to do is we need to fire up the International Galactic Advertising Campaign. Hopefully I've done enough research that we can actually get this running. I might not. We might need to skip through time to get the research done. Where are we up to? Let's just find out. Alright. So, one thing I want to do with this playthrough, many things I want to do with this playthrough, but one of the things I definitely want to do is I want to be able to come in here and make Dyson shells, okay? Very large Dyson shells. We want to add a new layer. I want to go with the maximum radius. So there's a planet right here, which is important. I want to be above the planet, okay? I want to have an orbit inclination of 180 degrees. We'll find out why in a second. And we're going to set a latitude of 0. And then what I'd like to do is if people have blueprints, they've made wonderful spheres, because spheres take a long time to make. What I'd like them to do is I'd like them to submit them, okay? Submit your Dyson spheres, have them come into the series, because I like seeing what other artistic people have done with the wonderful tool we have to make Dyson spheres. So, if you wish to submit your own Dyson sphere into this playthrough, I recommend jumping on Discord, okay? Links are always down in the description. You can have a look at my blueprints at the same time, if you want. At the same time, please, in the Dyson Sphere channel, post a screenshot of your sphere, probably from this view, maybe one of actually floating around the star. It all depends on how complicated it is. At the same time, post in the code. The code would very much help. And we're going to start off by putting in my very first blueprint of a Dyson Sphere from a previous series, which starts off our intergalactic advertising campaign. Okay, done. Which means I'm going to remind you right now is a wonderful time to subscribe to JD, because look, we had to ask for sponsors. We had to ask for sponsors to actually be able to afford to make a Dyson Sphere, and yeah, the sponsor came through. The sponsor came through with a rocket launch from our Home 2 system, and will carry your dreams to point 1-007. Yeah, we're on 007, being this point here, and we're going to start making the sub to JD sphere, i.e. the Great International Intergalactic Advertising Campaign has started, and we can see that because I pre-filled all these, we should get perfect launches in sync, which means, come on, Chris, let's go! And I want to follow off the rockets and see where they go literally right here. Okay, that's close. And stop! 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 And we sort of get the right. We're roughly at the right speed. Okay, and we're going to start building our very first node. There we go. There's some more rockets, which should extend the node out bit by bit by bit. Hey, bit more built. Perfect. Perfect. Now, this particular playthrough, I am not allowed to build any sails. Not until we've completed the game. Which means I have to rely on rockets. So we can check out this point right here, and we have 84 rockets. No, total nodes in. No, I want that one. We have 72 nodes in. Quick maths, we're making... Does that update live? That's a question. 84. It does update live. Okay, so I'm going to bet we make just over 8 megawatts. 8 big megawatts for every 100 rockets. So with... No, 9 megawatts. 9 megawatts. 9 megawatts from 100 rockets. We have 1,100 rockets. So I should make 920-ish megawatts worth of power total from just the structure points. The cell points would be on top of that. A lot more on top of that. Well, we go 108 rockets, 10.2 megawatts. So if we went and got all the cell points done, I launched up the 78,000 solar cells, we'd have plenty of power. But for right now, right now, I have just a tiny bit of power, which means in our next episode, we are going to have to work out exactly how we're going to start capturing this power and running it. Well, hi ships. Sheesh. Hello? God. I hope intergalactic traffic control is keeping an eye on all this so I don't get hit by a ship that's warping past. But yes, we're going to have to... I think we're going to go do it on the Grady walk-up system. I think that's where we're going to go start capturing... yeah, we're going to get here. We're going to take it out any second. I think that's where we're going to go capture our... Can I go that way? Too fast. Too fast. Too fast. Right. Right. More right. We're sort of matching speed. That's where we're going to have to go to actually capture the power generator here because, no, F, we still need to make the universal matrix. We need to make 4,000 of the universal matrix to complete the game, which means I need 4,000 antimatter. To get 4,000 antimatter, yeah, 4,000 antimatter, I need 4,000 critical protons. Critical photons. And to get those, they only ever come from the ray receivers in photon generation mode, which means, yeah, next episode we are going to have to pop down some ray receivers. We're going to start having to capture the power of our sphere, which is not a lot, honestly, right now. But I think after we do a little bit of tweaking, you know, get a couple of rockets up in the air and definitely fix our processor build, I think we should have enough in the next episode. We can at least start on the universal matrix. But as I said, wrong button. The intergalactic advertising campaign has started. I'm going to be calling this episode here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you've enjoyed this episode and enjoyed this series so far, because as soon as we complete the game, that's when things change. We're going to be going for a mega base then. We're going to be proliferating everything. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of blueprints. I'm going to be sharing the blueprints with you guys. And the game's going to feel different. Very, very different to what we've done up until now. Oh, and there's one other thing I want to do in the next episode, which is find some acid. Because acid is annoying. Anyway, that's it. We're out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you've enjoyed. And I'll see you guys in the very next episode. All right, bye.